Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? There's a chat function. You press the text bubble in the top right corner. All right. Hope everyone's having a fine evening. I don't hear Bridges yet. I don't know if any of you do. Can we hear Bridges? No, we don't hear Bridges. All right. Let's see if we have some technical difficulties. Still can't hear you now, Bridges. So, what could it be? Let's see what it could be. Voice and video.
Hello?
Yes, now we hear you.
Okay. Looks like I had to restart Discord for
All
some
right.
reason.
Well, glad you're here.
How's it going, Steve? How you doing?
I'm good. I have a muscle ache. I've been working out too much. What about you?
Well, I don't have a muscle ache, but I've been working out too, so that's that's pretty good. But a lot of stuff, a lot of cool feedback that we received on new Prism V4. In general, we can kind of go through the details of the platform, some of the things that you guys liked, people who are listening on the stage right now. Some of the things that you didn't like, so we can kind of change those things, make it better, make it so that the trading experience is as easy as possible, and also um, pretty useful for people who want to trade with limit orders or just swap. So I guess what we can do is I can go through the feedback channel and read some of the feedback that we received, then say a few words about some of the adjustments that we made, and then we can get into some of the things that are coming, which is DCA, which would be pretty cool. Does that sound good?
Let's hear it.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing, which we received the feedback pretty shortly after we released, was from BJ. It was basically about screen resolutions. So for different screen sizes, there were some minor kind of visual bugs, if you call it, things cropping and stuff like that, which we fixed pretty quickly. I think a day after he posted them. The second thing he mentioned was wallet avatar. By the way, let me paste the link for the platform for you guys. So if you want, you can kind of follow through as we talk about it. So here's the link for the platform. The second thing he mentioned was a chevron, basically like a drop-down thing on the wallet. When you connect a wallet, it says your address, and then there's like a drop-down, which doesn't do anything for now because what we are going to implement there is a sort of like a settings drop down. So basically, you'll be able to choose your RPC provider if you want to. So if you want to switch to a different RPC, if you don't know what an RPC is, it's basically like a messenger between the platform and the blockchain. So you send messages and you send transactions to the blockchain through an RPC provider. And we use a pretty good RPC. We use for Prism V4 we use Helios RPC, which works pretty well. But in terms of like changing RPCs and why that feature is important is during network congestions or during very high network activity. For example, let's say Jupiter's token launch, which had like 1 million people claiming the airdrop. Some RPCs had trouble, and some RPCs were basically kind of stuck, not working properly. And so in those cases, what you can do is if the platform is kind of slow or your transactions are not landing, stuff like that, you can change the RPC or even provide your own custom RPC URL if you have that. So most people will not actually use that, but for people who are a little bit more advanced, they could take advantage of that. We, for example, had this request from a few other projects that used Prism Pro to place limit orders, and also some market makers as well during that congestion. So basically, they wanted to use their custom RPC because they were not able to land their transactions and stuff like that. So that's one thing. The second thing that you'll be able to do there is specify some other settings like the theme for the platform, dark theme, light theme, etc. You can also specify your settings. For example, if you want the default setting for the platform to be swap or trade, this is one of the feedbacks that we also received. Some people prefer platform to show the swap as a default, and then if you want to place limit orders, then you could switch to trade, which is pretty interesting. And we can maybe kind of go into details about pros and cons of that. But in terms of the drop down, to get back to that, you'll be able to set your default kind of trading preferences there. So that's about the drop down. Let me go to the next feedback that we got. So yeah, the third thing BJ said was clicking trade, basically creating an order and then canceling the approval in the wallet itself, left the preparing kind of pop-up open. So we fixed that really quickly. I think that should not be a problem anymore. So the next person that wrote some feedback was the explanation between the difference between equal and curve strategies, and also what's the decrement, what is curve, stuff like that. So what we can do there is we can make some kind of an explainer. So when you click on the strategy, for each one, there's going to be some pictures and explanations of what each one does. So I can quickly explain here. So if you go to the strategy tab in the platform, then you have two options. So apart from like buy and sell, so you can place buy orders or sell orders, what a strategy does is it basically places multiple orders in a same transaction. Okay, so let's say you want to buy Solana at multiple price points. Okay, you don't want to buy it at $100 only. You want to buy when if you're kind of waiting for Solana to go down so you can buy the dip. What you can do is you can set multiple buy orders, and usually what you would do on another platform is first you would place a buy order at $100, let's say. Then you would set another buy order at 95, then one more at 90, and then 85, 80, stuff like that, right? So that takes a lot of time to place all the orders separately, and you have to fill all that information and kind of place them like that. Instead, what you can do is on Prism, you can choose the strategy tab, and then you can enter the starting price of the orders. So if you're placing buy orders, what you can do is, let's say your first order, you want to start at $100 if it reaches 100, okay? So you enter the starting price at $100, and then enter the total order size. So in total, how much USDC in this example you want to spend. So let's say 1,000 USDC. And what the decrement is it's basically a price decrement for each order. Okay. So in total, if you enter the total orders to, let's say, 5, that means you're placing 5 orders at the same time. Okay. And then in the decrement, you specify how much of a price difference you want to be between each order. So that could be, if you specify $5, then it's gonna create the transaction kind of buy order preview, which you can also see on the chart. And it will basically mean that you're placing 5 orders. The first order will be at $100 price. The second order will be at 95, third at 90, fourth at 85, and the fifth at 80. Okay, so that's basically how the decrement works. If you're placing a sell order, then it's an increment. So the starting price is the same. Let's say you start at 120 and you want to sell Solana as the price goes up. Okay, you can set the same parameters. However, for the increment, you can set it to 5, and that means that every $5 Solana goes up, you're basically placing a buy order, but you're placing all those orders at the same time. Okay. Does that make sense, Steve? What do you think? Is that easy enough to understand, or do we need to simplify it more?
I think people will get the hang of it. I'm thinking we should get a tutorial up and running. Maybe a Medium article. But yeah, I think most of the people will just FAFO it and have some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the reasons we have the order preview on the chart specifically, for example, is that before you actually place the order, you can kind of play around with the values and see what kind of orders you would place. So if you enter those stuff there, then you'll be able to see where your orders will land, and then it says at what price and also how much. So you'll be able to kind of understand how it works that way too, which is a pretty good way, if you ask me. But what I want to know basically is if we can simplify the user experience itself. So how easy do you guys think it is to understand in the first place? Like with the first look when you kind of look at it. And if it's kind of hard to understand, then what can we do to make it simpler? Does that make sense? Because the more simple it is to understand, more people will actually use it, and that's good for everyone.
I think it's easy enough, but we can also always do a tutorial and a
Yeah,
Medium page for those that
that
just need
definitely
a
sounds
little extra. Yeah.
good. Yeah. Yeah, one more thing that I wanted to explain is the equal versus curve placement strategies, okay? Um, so here's the difference between those. The equal basically means that since you're specifying the total amount that you want to place the order um, across, like it's basically like a sum of all orders, okay? The placement strategy decides how each order divides that total amount, okay? So let's say you want to place 5 orders and spend 100 USDC in total to place those 5 orders. The placement strategy decides how much USDC is put into each order. If it's selected as equal, that means that each order will have equal amount. So each order will have 20 USDC. And then the curve means that there's an exponential curve. So basically, in this case, for buy orders, if you place, let's say, $100 worth and start at $100, um, uh, then the first order has the least amount of SOL. The second order, I mean, least amount of USDC. The second one has more. Third one more. Fourth one more, and then the fifth one has the largest amount, which is basically targeted for specific types of users who want to um, actively trade the order book, let's say. For example, during volatility, when a new token launches, for example, and the price does a lot of swings, and you want to, let's say, still trade the token, but capture the large swings. So your orders get filled. The larger your order gets filled, the more spread you kind of capture.
And is there
So
this curve? It's pretty aggressive, isn't it?
yeah, so this is basically to capture as much volatility as possible. But what we're gonna do is create a new placement strategy, which will basically be like a concentrated liquidity strategy, which means that for the starting price, we'll place the most liquidity around the starting range. And then as the orders get spread more, there will be less and less liquidity. Sort of visually, to kind of think about it, it looks like a concentrated liquidity curve. Okay, so there's most liquidity is in the current price range, and then as the price goes either way, there's decreased amount of liquidity. That's for if you want to create sort of like a concentrated liquidity on the order book itself, um, and also capture some fees. So, for example, what you could do is, let's say some token has a liquidity on Orca, okay? uh, it has some price there, and then what you can do is you can run a strategy on Prism and then place the orders there, and as they get filled, you can arbitrage between your orders on the order book and then to Orca AMM. So this it might be a little technical what I'm talking about right now, but one of the things that is coming apart from the strategy and placing orders is ability to basically do live real-time market making on the order book. And the way it's going to work is as long as you have the tab opened on Prism, it will run the strategy that you specify. So it will basically be like you can specify, for example, an oracle price of Sol, and then using that oracle price, it's going to place orders and spread it. And as the price changes, it's going to remove those orders and place them again. So basically, you're always capturing some spread, which is basically like an arbitrage profit. Because, for example, Solana's price is at 110, and then you place your orders starting from 109 below and also starting at 111 and above. Okay. If your order gets fulfilled and the Solana price is at 110, let's say, and your order gets filled at 111, you can take that funds and then sell it somewhere else where the price is 110 and capture that extra profit. Does that make sense?
It does.
So it might not be a very easy feature to use, especially in the beginning, until we figure out how to simplify those stuff. But what I know for sure is that there's a lot of market makers and people who are kind of active traders who would use this feature, especially for new token launches and stuff like that, because no other DEX has this feature. And if you want to do something like this right now, you have to write the code from the beginning, and you have like a custom market making program that you do. Instead, what you could do is run a similar thing and just go to Prism and just click on run it, and then it's gonna run it. So yeah, that's one thing. Also, one cool thing is I think we should be expecting Jupiter to integrate OpenBook V2 pretty soon. And what that's going to do is, as long as there's going to be orders in the order book, let's say on Prism, since the Prism is the only UI right now for OpenBook V2, your orders will get routed through Jupiter and then also Prism, and people trading there and swapping there will be directed to those liquidities if that's the best price. So that's going to be a lot of volume driven to OpenBook V2 pretty soon, which should attract more people to do market making and placing orders on the order book itself, and then using Prism versus using something else to place your orders. Since you have all these tools like order strategies and market making stuff, you'll be able to capture. You should be able to have some kind of an edge over other type of platforms. So that's pretty cool to see, and I'm really excited to see how that goes. So yeah, let me continue with the feedback real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so 0x NearES also said that it would be better to autofill the curve equal parameters to make the functionality more clear and user-friendly. I think that makes total sense. What we could do is basically have some kind of a default values that we fill for the user. So for example, if they go to the strategy tab and then enter a starting price and the total order size, we can have some default values for the decrement and total orders to give them an idea of what the strategy tab does. So I think that could work. And then the second thing he said was to add a framing strategy, both buy and sell, equals greed strategy. I think he meant grid. When you can set yourself with a limit buy and limit sell, maybe for another release with advanced trading features like stop limit. Yeah, so this is actually one of the things that I mentioned earlier about doing sort of like a market making. Apart from just being able to specify like a grid strategy, which places both buy orders and the sell orders at the same time, what you'll be able to do is there's going to be another strategy called eat the spread, which is basically means that whenever there's a high spread on the market, the spread is basically difference between the highest buy order and the lowest sell order. Whenever there's a large spread, you'll be able to fill that spread by placing limit orders above the buy orders and below the sell orders while maintaining the same sort of price. And decreasing that spread means that your orders get filled first. So even though you're making less sort of market making profit, you still get the priority because your orders get filled first. And lower the spread, the better for the traders, because high spread means you're just basically losing money to sort of slippage. So yeah, that's coming as well. McBreath said, on the swap, I would like to see one sol equals $95 and reversible. Yeah, this is definitely something that we have to do. Basically adding more information about the swap details as well. So when you go to the swap, instead of trade, you have you pay and you receive, and then below that there's going to be some swap information, for example, price impact that you're going to get. There's also have to be a settings to set your slippage tolerance and priority fees as well. So those are coming as well. So Abhay said he tried V4 and he liked it a lot. And he feels or she feels that the swap should be the default option on clicking place order as opposed to trade. So this is also interesting. This is what I was talking about. It's actually interesting to hear the community's thoughts about what should be the default here. It makes sense that most people are used to swapping rather than trading. So if they check out a platform and they see a swap, they're more likely to use that rather than place a limit order. So that could be something that we can do. Maybe you guys can share your thoughts on what you think is the better option here. But I think it makes sense. But I think we need more input from other people who've used the platform and who use other platforms as well.
Let's have a poll right now.
Yeah, can you do that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just in the chat, if you go to my message, choose one, which should be the default. So default should be swap or default should be trade. Vote away, change your vote if you want to, and we'll circle back when we have the results.
Sounds good. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so Oski also said he tried V2 and it worked great. The UI looks great and simple. One thing I would like to add is a clear indication of what the price of the coin is. I felt like I had to search for it now, check. So he attached a picture of Bybit, which has basically between the order book, it has the current price, which is a last executed price. So yeah, that's definitely needed on Prism. You can't find it anywhere pretty much unless you look at the chart. And that chart is also a combination of all the Sol USDC trading activity. So yeah, that definitely makes sense to show the last executed price. And maybe we can also show the midpoint of the price as well to see the 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 relation between the last price and the current order book. So yeah, that's definitely coming. So Beaver said, the difference between swap and market buy isn't clear to me. I think the strategy should be called DCA until other strategies are added. Equal versus curve strategy isn't clearly explained either. A chart of some sort would be nice. I think 30-minute price change should be swapped out and a 7-day price change should be added. Okay, so the difference between a swap and a market buy is that during a swap, in our case, and in pretty much most cases, unless you're using some DEX, if you're using an aggregator, a swap basically means that it finds the best liquidity route for you and then swaps at the best price that it finds. However, the market buy means that it goes through the order book and it basically goes through the orders that are in the order book and fills your order. So to give you an idea, let's kind of have an extreme example. Let's say the order book doesn't have a lot of liquidity, whereas there are some AMMs that have a lot of liquidity, let's say for Sol USDC. If you swap, then you're going to get a good price. And if you do a market buy for a market that doesn't have a lot of liquidity, then you're going to get a very bad price. Okay. So, one good thing that we do is in the swap, the order book prices are also included because it's one of the liquidity sources. Okay. So, if the order book has the best route, then it will go through the order book. But if there is some other AMM that has a better price, then it's going to use that to give you a better price. Okay. So that's why on Prism, you have two options, trade and swap, instead of having trade and market orders, instead of having like limit orders and market orders. Okay. So for trade, you set the price that you want to execute the order on. And then for swap, you basically use the aggregator to get the best price currently. Okay. So that's the difference. Yeah, on the strategy I talked earlier, we're going to do some tutorials and do like a article explaining what each strategy does and what you can use each one for. And the DCA, I'm not sure how it applies on a limit order book, but the DCA is another product that is about to be released, and you can use that to basically do swaps, basically like TWAP. So yeah.
Yeah. DCA is more like a timely thing, right? So every
Yeah.
Tuesday I invest $10, whatever the price is.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. For those
Exactly.
who didn't know. Yeah.
Um,
And I think for the default, most people prefer swap, as it seems now.
okay, yeah, that's pretty good to know. What we should do, I think, is do another poll in the announcements, maybe for people who are not on the stage right now, and see and compare what that looks like, and then decide with the community together. But it's really interesting that most people prefer to have it as swap here. So yeah, I guess we can see, we can make another poll in the announcements. The next thing that Beaver said was, I think 30-minute price change should be swapped out and the 7-day price change should be added. I'm not sure exactly what he means. you can already switch to different time frames from 1 minute to up to 1 week. So that's 7 days. Um, so 7 day price changes also. Oh, you mean, okay. I think what he means is um, the quick kind of information about the token. Let me just give you guys a screenshot. So I think he says that the 30 minutes should be swapped out and instead there should be 7 days, which is no problem. I mean, we can leave the 30 minutes and add 7 days in there with no problem. So I guess, do you guys think we should swap it, or do you guys think we should add 7 days too? Because for some tokens, people prefer seeing like a short time frame price range, especially for new tokens, I guess. Oh, let's see the next feedback that we got. So Basic T had some pretty good points about the UI side on the mobile screens, especially. So, for example, actually, I think it's on desktop too. So when you select a strategy and click on midpoint or bid for prices that the midpoint is like a really long float, it goes over the covers the text in the input. So what we can do is limit the price to the max amount of decimals. So for USDC has 6 decimals. So but instead of 107.86250000000001, you could only have 107 point and then 6 decimals max, which should fix it. Let's see. He also said that the trade/swap function isn't in the right place because the options on the top, limit/strategy, already are only relevant for trading. So I think choosing between trade and swap needs to be an option before choosing limit and strategy. That is a really good point. So what we're gonna do is move the trade and swap kind of selector in on the top and make it big. So you can switch between trading and swapping, and then below that you can have buy and sell, and then limit or strategy there. That is a very good point. He also mentioned some explanations on the strategy fields would be good. So I agree there. We're going to add some information icons that you can hover over, which explains each input. For example, decrement or increment, placement strategy, and etc. And we'll also do, as we said, an article going through each option and what they do. He also said make it clear for the clearer that the market does not exist and you have switched to the swap. So this happens. Let me copy the message real quick so you guys can follow along. So he said that we should make it more clear that the tokens that you selected have no market on OpenBook V2 and that you have switched to a swap. Yeah, and I agree there. So this was basically like a quick placeholder so we could release it for you guys really quickly. And what we can do is have like a message which says that the market doesn't exist and you are now using a swap, and then suggest creating a market if they want to. So Basic T said, I also wondered what the Prism landing page will look like later. Should I consider it a landing page like Jupiter has now, with the swap as a basis and then some other options? Um, So basically, what we're gonna do is have like an about page, which is similar to how Jupiter has their station page, which explains what Prism is and the product line it has, as well as some information about each product. So that should be good. Steve also found some annoying things, I guess.
Yeah, I
He
found a
said,
bug. It's the only bug found thus far.
can you say what it is?
I'm gonna share my screen if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I can't stream. So everybody follow along with me. So you're on the swap page or the market page, and anywhere you can put in a value, just put in one, hover over the one with your mouse, and scroll with your mouse wheel, and it will change the value, which is pretty insane, really, because you have to scroll. At least I have to scroll. I'm on a MacBook. I have to scroll down to press the enter swap amount button or execute thing, and it would have changed the value of what I just entered before signing the transaction,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
really
so it
weird.
thinks that the input field thinks that you want to increase or decrease the value by scrolling, so we can really easily disable that. Uh,
Yeah, please
good
do.
good that you noticed because it's very annoying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was my feedback. I just found it just now.
Cool. Okay, so I think we went over the feedback channel. Um, there was also a video posted by Yo, um, which is gonna be fixed too. So basically, it's a screen size, it's mobile screen size thing, kind of bug too, which is relatively easy to fix. And yeah, one more thing that I wanted to mention is about the feedback that you guys are giving. So what we'll do is you guys keep giving us the great feedback that you are. Um, we're gonna improve the platform, and then at the launch, that's basically when we close the testing phase, the community testing phase, and then start announcing the platform. Then we're gonna give out 1 million Prism and share it to the people who contributed to the um, V4 testing. So that should be pretty good. Let me now go through the stage chat because there was some stuff written there. So Lisophy asks, does anyone else offer decrement? Um, I don't think there is a DEX where you can place multiple orders at the same time on Solana like you can on Prism. I might be mistaken, but I don't know of any, especially with which lets you place orders with different order sizes as well. I think Cube, which is not really a decentralized exchange. It's like a hybrid between a centralized exchange and decentralized exchange, and it's multi-chain and stuff like that. I think they have a similar feature where they spread multiple orders for you, but on Solana and on a DEX, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we're the only one.
Yeah. BJ also said, I was playing around with the strategy orders. At first, I had some issues understanding it, but within some minutes, it all made sense. I will try to write a proper review of my thoughts when I'm back home on a Tuesday. That is very awesome. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Um, so yeah, I think it could be as soon as we get some trading activity going on OpenBook V2 and the liquidity is there and the markets get added and stuff like that. Um, I think it will be pretty fun to see how people use the strategies and how they start trading, because I think that's a little bit different way of trading than just placing one order and then another order and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. Let's see. So Yo says, I think he's referring to whether we should have the default mode as a trade or swap. He says maybe it depends on the trading size. So swap until an X amount and then motivate people to use the trade. That's interesting. So one thing that could work is if we, for example, if we set the default state as swap, when people check out the platform, they're gonna click around things, right? So the first thing they're gonna see is the chart, the order book, and the swap, and then they'll have an option to click on trade. And when they click on trade, they get the option to place their to set their price. So first thing we show them is what they're familiar with. So basically swap, and then when they click trade, they discover placing limit orders. So that could be one way that we get more people to use limit orders who already use swap, because pretty much everyone uses swap. Um, so yeah, that's interesting. Maybe also what we could do is I'm not sure about the default one, but we can save the state that the user is on. So for example, if they switch to a trade, and then if they switch to a trade or a swap, and then they close the tab, when they come back, it gets back to the same state. So if they left it on swap, then it goes to swap when they open Prism again. And if they left it on trade, it gets back to trade when they open it again. So BJ also asked any details about if DCA will work the same way as Jupiter does. I haven't used it, but I've heard a lot of people complaining because it isn't really DCA. It's rather buying an order. It's rather buying when an order slot opens up, so it could miss the actual DCA set time. So the way DCAs work is, since you can't really automate things on chain, so you can't really run like a thing that runs automatically on chain. You have to trigger it somehow, okay? So the way DCA works is you set the time frames, and then we have like workers, which basically trigger the DCAs, kind of check the DCA all the time, every second, and then if someone's DCA order needs to be triggered, it triggers the program and does the DCA order. But can you tell me a bit more about what the people have been complaining about order slot opening up? Because it's interesting. But in terms of like general features, what you can do with the DCA is you can customize it as much as you want. So apart, like instead of saying that you want to trade every minute for 100 minutes, you can set that you want to run this DCA strategy for, I don't know, 2 weeks, and then you can run the orders. You can specify how much orders you want to place in total. So you can say 1,000. So that means that it will do the order 1,000 times over the 2 weeks range that you specify. So the DCA can start at some point, and then it runs for the specified period and runs it times you specify. But thing with that is, I think most people will prefer using a simple DCA with like simple options that you quickly specify. So what we're gonna do is have like two modes. One will be the simple mode, and one will be the advanced mode, where you get to customize all the details you want. But for simple mode, you basically enter the basic information and run the DCA. I think that there will be. I think everybody will be happy with that. Yeah, so blockchain fixes this said, uh, my thought is that swap is fine for taker orders, go whenever the price is best, but V4 is going to shine as an advanced trading maker strategy platform. Um, yeah, so it's really interesting to see what you guys think. Blockchain fixes is a contributor at OpenBook, by the way. Say hi to him. um, but uh, what we can do is somehow get some information about what people use on the platform. So we'll have like concrete data. If people are opening the platform and then instantly switching to swap and then using that, that gives us some idea about what people prefer. And then maybe we set the default option to swap that way if they do that. But if they um, open the platform and then place the limit orders, check out the swap, but ultimately place limit orders, then they prefer using it for limit orders. And that's basically how we leave it. So that could be one way to find out what is the better way to go through. Uh, Jody Neb says, "How about a training for beginners now at testing? I would be able to see things through eyes of someone just starting out." Um, yeah, that's actually interesting. Um, maybe what yeah. So I think what we should do is I think what we should do is create like a tutorial on the whole platform. So explain each feature, what it does, how to use it, so people can understand how to use every small detail of the platform and how to from for beginners to advanced people. I think it would be really beneficial to have an explainers on pretty much everything. Um, is that what you mean, or do you mean something like a video training? So, for example, watching someone use the platform and trade and stuff like that, and then you understand how things work. Because we can do that too, probably. So Hovo said, "Forgive my ignorance after a long time back to crypto. Just playing around with V4, and when I put a trade order, it shows in wallet wrapped sol. So here's why it shows wrapped sol instead of sol when you're placing a Solana order, because uh, we're interacting with SPL tokens. USDC and other tokens are SPL tokens, and Solana itself is a native coin, so to speak, and you can't really trade Solana native coin between other SPL tokens. So to interact with the SPL token program and stuff like that, you need to wrap that native sol into an SPL token, which is called wrapped sol, and you can wrap and unwrap sol one to one. So it's basically like a SPL token representation of native Solana that you can use for trading, for swapping, and etc. Lisafe says, what do you enter into the decrement box? Is it the multiple order start point? So the decrement box is price decrement for each order. So if you're placing 5 orders, then what is the price difference between one order, the second order, the third order, the fourth order, the fifth order? Does that make sense? Yeah, so I think Ubermesh explained it really well. So the difference between if the decrement is one USDC, it's in the quote token. So in Sol USDC, it is USDC. Okay. So if it's one, so one USDC, you place 5 orders, then it will place orders on $100 price point, 99, 98, and etc., decrementing the amount of decrement that you specify. And Steve explained it too. That's pretty good. Let's see. So Lucifer says not obvious at first though, so maybe need a different label like price difference or something else. So increment and decrement is what people use for most of the advanced platforms that offer similar functionality, like trading firms and stuff like that. So that's why we kind of kept it as that. But what we can do is make it a little easier to understand through the information icons that you can hover over and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess the explainers and the article should help with that too. Maybe also what we can do is when you switch to the strategy tab for the first time, there can be like a pop-up or kind of notification or something like that, which asks you if you want to learn about this thing, what it does, in like a video or something like that. That could be pretty cool and easy to understand for pretty much everyone. Yeah, so Animal also said on my iPhone you can't see the placement strategy correctly. Yeah, we're gonna take care of that as well. That's little mobile responsiveness issue. Thanks for bringing that up. So Ubermensch asks, how is the curve strat working? How are the amounts decided? Um, I think it's basically like a placeholder for now, the amounts and the curve that it has. We're most likely going to change that to a concentrated liquidity kind of curve. So the most orders get concentrated within the price range that you set the starting point, and then over as the price goes lower or above, then the amounts get decreased. But I think it's quadratic. I have to check, but it's like a basic curve. I think what Ubermensch will like though is the eat the spread strategy, because he uses that for Phoenix to eat the spread, and he's generating pretty good profits too. I think um, by basically placing orders and lowering the spread. So, he has an edge over other market makers that do a similar thing. Steve, yes, we can have choices between different curves. So what we have to kind of decide on now is what are the most important curves, most important placement strategies that we can implement. So what are some of the useful stuff? For example, one thing, the equal one is for sure useful, um, because a lot of people who place multiple orders use that. Then we can have the concentrated one, so you can concentrate the liquidity, and then you can have a reverse kind of volatility type of curve where your smaller orders get filled first, but if there is a huge swing, then your larger orders get filled and you capture a lot of spread. Yeah, so maybe you guys can tell us some of the things that you think would be useful in terms of placement strategies, some of the things that you may be seen on a centralized exchange that you think is cool. Um, but yeah, let me check. Alva says, if I want to change Sol to Prism and stake, can I have to swap first to USDC, right? So if you are swapping Sol to Prism, currently Prism doesn't have a Prism Sol market. So the route that it will go through is first it will, yes, most likely sell the Sol into USDC and then use that USDC to buy Prism. the way it will also work in terms of the limit orders is that if you're placing a limit order on Prism, for example, and you have Sol instead of USDC, and there's a a Prism USDC market, then it will basically do the same kind of thing. First, it will sell your Sol into USDC, and then use that USDC to place the limit order. So the timeframes for launching, I think we can do another week of feedback and product rollout. So next week, we should have the DCA ready for you guys to use, and then we'll do another round for DCA feedback. After that, we'll do bundles, and then I think uh, whichever you guys think is a better idea to release everything at the same time. So trading, DCA bundles, tools to create new SPL tokens, some new Solana tokens, and new markets at the same time. Or if you think it's better to release one product and then launch another product and another product, then we can do that too. One of the reasons, for example, we're not kind of going public with the new Prism V4 trading right now is the lack of liquidity in the order books. So basically, market makers not quoting with size, and also the lack of markets. So we want to make sure that there's a lot of markets to choose from. Right now, there's only Sol USDC and Prism USDC, and the Sol USDC has the orders pretty much. What we want to make sure is that there's a lot of markets to choose from. We're talking with market makers about that, and they should be starting to quote pretty soon with more liquidity, so that when people try out the platform and when they check it out, there's actually a lot of liquidity, so they can actually place limit orders and start trading on Prism instead of on some other platforms. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we should. I think the great thing about this testing phase is that we are able to identify some of the bugs that would be in the public release and fix it in advance. Because since we already know what the issues are with the platform, some of the things that we can improve, we improve that, and then when we launch officially and go live with it on Twitter and other stuff, we'll get some kind of word spreading the word from the open book community as well. When people check it out, the platform works flawlessly and there's no bugs, and it's kind of really easy to use, and there's all the features that people want to use, and they kind of stick to using the platform.
Yeah,
One thing
no,
that I wanted to ask, sorry?
and there's rewards for using the platform, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there's going to be weekly rewards for traders as well. So that's pretty good. One thing that I wanted to ask you guys who used the platform to place limit orders that got filled, has anyone experienced a thing where your order got filled but it wasn't settled, so you didn't have it in your wallet? So basically, I want to see if automatic settlement that we have on V4 works flawlessly or if it has any bugs. So in the meantime, Chip Team says, strategy is under NDA, or or can we name potential market making companies we might be using in the future? I'm not sure what you mean, because since we're using OpenBook, the liquidity is basically combined on all OpenBook markets, right? So any market maker that decides to market make on OpenBook V2, their orders will automatically show up on Prism. So we're not actually we don't have any agreements with the market makers to place to do market making because they want to do market making on their own because it's going to be integrated in all these platforms and there's going to be order flow coming in from X aggregators like Jupiter, like Prism, and arbitrage bots and stuff like that. So it's in their interest to use the OpenBook V2, um, and they're gonna come basically.
Would it be a good idea to create a small pool of Prism as a reward for anyone that can send us um, a limit order that didn't get settled and landed in the wallet immediately? That
Sorry,
would be.
can you repeat that? I didn't understand.
So would it be good to set up a prize pool for people that can send us their transactions that didn't
Oh,
get
which didn't get settled, right?
yeah, and that way people might be incentivized to try the platform as well
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's set it to how about 1,000 Prism?
per transaction.
Well, we can have a we can have a limit, obviously, but
Yeah,
but yeah.
we'll
So
figure it out.
yeah, we'll figure it out for sure. Let me kind of uh, calculate the amount that should sound good, and then you guys can tell us what you think. Should the price be stuff like that, and then we can decide on something. But um, Ship Tim also said that it's more of an AMM as opposed to specific market maker looking after Prism. I'm not sure I understand. So it's a market maker who places limit orders in the order book, and that order book is basically public, right? So any DEX or any DEX aggregator can look at that order book and then use it to send orders there or fill orders. Since DEX aggregators do take orders, which is basically swaps, so they're not putting orders in a new price point, they're filling someone else's orders, okay, when you're swapping. Um, that means that when OpenBook V2 is integrated into those platforms, whenever someone swaps and that platform, let's say Prism or Jupiter, looks at the OpenBook um, order book and it sees that it has the best price, it's going to route the order there. That means that the order book gets the liquidity, and then you can specify how much price you want to sell or buy thing at. Okay, and that's where the market makers place the orders. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, all the markets there is on OpenBook, and all the market that will be on OpenBook V2. Um, So Hovo said, while playing around, he found a small bug. Can you paste a screenshot? I can't open links, sorry. Yeah, so the animals post screenshot was probably in a Phantom. It looks like a Phantom browser, but I could be wrong. But it looks like a wallet in a browser. Yeah, I think posting and feedback would be good. Okay, so Sandstorm said what it is. It's basically doesn't up, it's not updating how much you would receive when you specify the price by pressing the use market button. We're gonna get on that and fix it really quickly. Elizabeth asks, how will you spread the word about Prism on launch? Well, apart from us doing the announcements and post on Twitter, there's going to be OpenBook community who will be helping us with that, since we'll be the pretty much the first platform that uses OpenBook v2. So that should get a lot of interest from Solana's core people, influencers, and stuff like that, because they follow OpenBook, and OpenBook is pretty pretty famous with that. And also Ubermensch says he will make Anatoly retweet. So that's that's pretty good. There we have it then. And yeah, I think that things like also we're in touch with some of the biggest users of OpenBook V1. And OpenBook has like 10 million daily volume right now. And some of the people who make the orders on OpenBook V1, the main market makers, so to speak, we're in touch with them, and they're very happy with how the platform is turning out. And if they kind of like it, then that means that they're gonna tell all the people they know about it, and that's gonna basically there's gonna be a lot of word of mouth. So what we need to make sure is that the platform works really well, and the rest is pretty much should be good.
If there's any more questions, please post them on the either the not post them here in the stage chat thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're gonna get back to work. Make sure that the feedbacks that we received is kind of integrated and implemented basically into the platform. Let's decide on which should be the default option, either swap or trade. Let's make a poll with the community in Discord after the AMA, see what people prefer. And then once we have those updates, we can get some additional feedback from you guys. And apart from that, we're gonna roll out DCA, and really excited to hear what you guys think of the DCA, how it works, if there are any issues that you kind of come across, comparisons between our DCA and Jupyter's DCA. It has half the fees and no fees for basically less and less fees for Prism takers, up to pretty much no fees, whereas Jupyter has 0.1% fee. So I'm excited to see what you guys think, and to see you guys start using it. So I think that's pretty much it. If there's no more questions, we can take off and have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much for all the insight and the answers you gave.
No problem. Thank you for attending. We have 23 people. We went to up to like 30, which was pretty cool with a short notice, because I think I posted about the AMA yesterday. So it's really cool to see the community getting active again. And yeah, let's rock.
Right. Thanks so
And thank
much.
you, Steve, for helping
Yeah.
with the AMA. It's really helpful.
It's yeah, two is better than one.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
All
Have a
right,
great
guys.
rest of the weekend, everyone. For me, it's one more hour. Nice. 2 more hours.
Okay. Have a good weekend, Steve, and
Thank you.
everyone.
I'll make sure to relax during those two.
Okay,
All
guys.
right. Bye, everyone.
See you next week. And in the meantime, see you in the chats.